Hello, nerdy neighbors. Welcome back to the neighborhood and welcome back to your friendly neighborhood comic show. I am your host, your friendly neighborhood by Lauren. And today our indie creator special guest does manga and has a lot of thoughts about a lot of other nerdy stuff. So I figured we bring him on to talk about it. So Dark, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. I appreciate you hosting me here. And I just got to throw this disclaimer out there. If one of my eyes just keeps on closing, I promise I don't have a lazy eye. It's the camera. I don't know what's going on with it.
No, it's totally okay. So if you guys are watching this and you're like, what's going on Dark's side? Dark was just having some little technical issues. So we decided to have fun. So we get this little, what's it called? What's this thing called?
This is a VTuber model, 3D one, I believe. Yeah, this one's a 3D one.
Yes, the person very much looks at. Okay, so I learned something new today by this, which a lot of you are probably listening. You're like, duh, like how'd you not know that, Lauren? But whatever, it's totally okay. So make sure if you're watching and you're used to the audio, visually seeing the other person a bit more, put some headphones in this time. It'll help. But otherwise, Dark, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, what kind of nerdy stuff you like, all that good stuff.
Okay, so I run a digital manga studio. I employ 2 full-time artists, and I currently have a part-timer working for us just on additional stuff. I've been writing for about 3 years, and I do everything except for the art, because your boy ain't got time for that. So I got started because I love, anime, manga, loved Berserk, and I was a huge D&D fan. And after I got a D&D addiction, yes, that is a thing where you can get addicted to fantasy. I decided to take all those stories that I've been building for like 10 years, reformat them, and turn them into like a novel series. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to do comics. Whenever I met up with a guy named Bill who used to work at Image Comics when they first started. And he was kind of like my mentor at the very beginning. And then when I discovered, I was like, man, I don't really like American style that much. Let's turn it into a medium I really enjoy. So that's when I decided to bring on the manga artist. And we've been cranking it out for like the past 2 years. And like this month, I'm hoping to actually get volume 1 of both series down and ready to get published in like paper format for like 2023.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, you're actually the first directly manga creator that I've had on the channel. So congrats. You can have a little award for that one.
Well, thank you. I'll like replace this little top hat up here with like a little crown if you'll give me one.
Yes, you can have a crown. Absolutely. You can be our first neighbor with a crown. So everybody, if you see somebody walking around the neighborhood with a crown, don't worry about it. It's just Dark.
It's just me. I'm only slightly royalty.
Well, I was taking a look at your site for your studio.
Oh, no. The cringe. I made this myself. Oh.
Well, I love all the buttons. Listen, I know that okay. I wouldn't say it's complete cringe because, and that's me being honest, I didn't cringe when I saw this, but I was definitely like, this is very like early 2000s-esque maybe?
Oh no. Like that's Backstreet Boys, like Britney Spears time zone.
Yeah, the good times.
Oh, baby, hit me one more time. It's a classic.
Yes.
God, I miss Britney back in the heyday.
So what is one of the mangas you're working on currently that you can talk to us about?
So I am currently, I'll talk about Night of Slaughter right now. That is the first project that we ever started, and it is focused entirely on an NPC that when I was running in D&D that almost all the groups had some level of interaction with, and when I was in somebody else's game, I ended up taking control of her as a playable character, and we did like a 2-year campaign with her. So just a ton of like backstory and emotion like attached to this character, and she got to explore so many parts of the world that I was like, you know what? Let's get into her origin story. Just because it touches on so many things, and I think so many players that we've been able to kind of interact with would really enjoy her story. So that's kind of the inspiration behind it. And the story basically follows her from her 7th birthday, making the wish to become a holy knight in her father's order, because her father is the god of honor. And she's been raised on these stories of, chivalrous knights and glory and a perfect world where everything's, good versus evil. And pretty quickly she learns that that's not how things work.
No.
And so, yeah, it's literally her journey trying to survive her apprenticeship. And that's literally the entire series. So.
That sounds like oddly too relatable. Like just trying to survive your job, your internship, whatever it is.
Oh, yeah. Like the kind of theme behind it was we all have like these dreams like, oh, I want to be an actor. Oh, I want to be famous. But is it kind of what we really think of in our head when we finally reach that goal? Because I kind of had a realization whenever I was younger. Because like when I was like a little wee dark, I used to play SOCOM US Navy SEALs on like the PlayStation 2. And I was like, man, I want to be like a Navy SEAL. I want to be in the military. And I ended up joining not as a Navy SEAL because your boy could not swim well enough to survive.
Oh, no.
So I ended up just doing, normal military stuff. And I was like, man, this is not what I thought it was going to be. So I got a first-hand example of what it's like. So
that's quite the first example too, especially like the military, because the military is like, you're once you're in, you don't come back the same from everything I understand.
Oh, trust me, my back definitely has not been the same. I'll tell you that one right now. Like we were talking a little bit before, like just those runs that we have to do, like I sound like a rickety skeleton when I'm walking down steps.
Yeah, that's how my, it's crazy. Every time I go to my chiropractor, so I've had the same one for like 2.5 years now, and she's wonderful. So she's gotten used to it. But even like when I first started with her, if I start with any new chiropractor, they're like, oh yeah, you're young, you'll be fine. Then they scan my back and they're like, oh my God, how are you all red? And I'm like, you tell me. And then I tell them I will pop magnificently. And they're like, is this okay? And I'm like, thank you for asking, but pop away. Like, do your job. Pop away. I will pop like popcorn. And then I pop like popcorn and they're like, how did that happen? And I'm like, it's like I knew.
Like it's crazy just how like the body just kind of breaks at once. And it's not even like some miracle thing you're doing, like jumping off roofs or anything like that. No, walk down steps. That's how the bones break.
Yep. Something just super simple there. You've got a lot of other stuff on here too. You've got a Discord I wanted to hear about and this guild membership.
Oh boy. So the Discord is it's full of degenerates because I figured out early that my target audience are D&D players who enjoy anime. So I get a little bit of people who love the lore, and then I got the degens. Like I love them, but I'm not gonna lie, they're degenerates at heart. So just be prepared if you enter the Discord.
Oh, don't worry. You can't. Well, you'll fit right in this neighborhood because so I put up Twitter polls, every week essentially on the show's Discord, on the show's Twitter, and people get to vote like which fictional comic book characters join our neighborhood, right? So I'll put up a poll and be like, hey, what category do you guys want to vote on this next week? And then I get told we want to do the Warden of Horny Jail. So I had to make a poll of characters which one people wanted to be our Warden of Horny Jail. And of course, because our neighborhood is so lovely and ridiculous and fun, Catwoman won.
Oh,
nope, Catwoman. Man.
That was the second guess.
Oh. You were close. Very, very close. But no, we have, I think right now a lot of our neighbors, they're more DC leaning than Marvel, but there's a couple that still go that way a bit.
Ooh. I mean, it's probably because of Marvel's like MCU success, but yeah, like
Could be.
one thing I will say about the Discord is like I sound like a robot when I like type to people. So
Mm-hmm.
I have been able to harvest and cultivate a very active voice community.
Mm-hmm.
And like as much of degenerates as they are, like we got a pretty awesome and supportive community. Like I've
Mm-hmm.
even gone as far as to observe just conversations where I'll just sit in, not say anything as I'm working, and
Mm-hmm.
like somebody will be having like a really bad day, and
Mm-hmm.
one of our other members will just come on, and like they'll sit there for like an hour and a half and just like give them like an ear to like lean on. And
Mm-hmm.
then I'm just like, what the hell? Like, you guys are first time talking, and like, it's not like somebody's like drama dumping. It's just
Mm-hmm.
somebody had a bad day, and we even have like a helpful wander role that we created just because like it happened occasionally. And I was like, let's
Yeah.
go ahead and reward these people because you don't see that in a lot of servers. So that is something I'm very happy about. Is just the community that I've been able to grow so far.
Yeah, congrats. That's huge. I totally understand that pride and that comfort you must be feeling. I used to be a teacher, and one thing I learned very quickly, because a lot of people, they're like, I don't want to teach high school health or whatever. High school kids are through the roof, what have you, and they can be. But what was really cool was I remember at one point I would, when I did especially the mental health unit, and I would, do my lessons and all that with the students. At one point, it just became them talking to each other, like having a discussion basically, within themselves as a class. And then I would just mediate as needed. And it was so cool to just see them really, really make it theirs. At that
Right.
point, it's not my class, and it's not even my lesson, it's them learning. And it sounds like for you with your Discord, it became less of your Discord and more their Discord, everybody's Discord. So that's really awesome.
Yes, like the proudest moment I had was like 2 months ago when I started getting busy doing other things, and like I would just see people hanging out in the VC for hours, and I was like, this is the dream when you don't have to be there. Even though like a lot of people go there to talk to me, and I am so proud that I'm able to kind of break down some of those barriers because if you've been in Discord before, right?
I've been what? I'm sorry.
You've been in Discords
Oh
before.
yeah, yeah. We have
Yeah.
a Discord for the show's community here.
Yeah, so you should definitely check that out, by the way. Subtle plug. Uh, but a lot of Discords, like, they don't want you talking to the admins. They don't want you talking to the mods. But, like, and I've had to, like, tell people, like, no, like, ping me. Talk to the mods. Because the mods are literally just guys who are on all the time. And I was like, hey, you want to be a mod to help moderate some things? They're like, yeah. So, like, everyone is super available. Like, and I love the fact that I can actually engage with the community on a one-on-one basis.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I share similar feelings with, having the Discord for this show. I didn't even realize I just, the Discord's more recent, like within the last month. And already it seems like I'm able to more directly engage with them, and they're more able to directly engage with each other, which again is my favorite part, especially the week we're recording this, I've been so busy with work. I feel like I, haven't been as active, which I feel bad about because I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to be there for our neighbors. But they're just using it, still talking with each other as well, which is really wonderful. So it's cool that you have that community too. That's one thing that got me really excited about, your community, your site, and studio. Thank you. The studio that you have is that it's very encompassing. It's it's not like just one thing or the other. You kind of do a lot of different things to really build it up. So even though I don't read manga by any measure most of the time, kind of like how you feel with American comics, it's just not my forte. I still think this is so cool to hear about and to learn about because, like you said, there's people, even if you have your niche of D&D players who love anime that enjoy it, anybody can enjoy something like this, especially if there's a great community. People really respond when there's a great community. That's what people love, and that's what I love.
Yeah, absolutely. And as much as I want to throttle people whenever they ask me like, oh, what's this from? Whenever they get into the Discord, we'll have people that's been there for months that just come from the lore. Like, because I have a
Mm-hmm.
TikTok where I talk about specific aspects based on questions I get about the overall mythos, and they will literally come in there for that, and they'll just read up on the lore, and then eventually, like after being there for a couple months, they'll be like, "Hey, man, what's this from, by the way?" And I want to wrap my hands around the throat, but I contain myself a little bit.
I totally understand. Anybody that follows my own personal account on Twitter knows sometimes I get a little loud about certain things that people might say about certain characters or things like that. Like, you know, all somebody has to do is talk trash about Nightcrawler or Supergirl, which I don't see often, thank God. But listen, somebody does it, and I'm like, oh, it's over. Like, cracked knuckles, like...
You really should not have told me that, because now I might just have to troll a little bit.
Time to mute. The mute is my favorite button on Twitter. Because
that's okay. I'll get a horde. Like there's a reason a hashtag exists.
Oh my gosh, I do not need a horde on me about that. I don't think I could take that. I think I would just have to be like, all right, so I'm going to make a video talking about why they are the best and why everyone else is wrong, and I will never speak of it again.
I got somebody I think you should talk to. King Lion, I think, would love to debate that topic.
Which one? Like, why they're both fantastic?
I don't know. He's never talked about Supergirl to my knowledge. Like he normally gets embroiled into arguments about Batman and Superman.
Sounds about
I
right.
know he expands into pretty much all of like Marvel and DC.
Yeah, a lot of people do. I'm used to that. Typically, if like I'm totally okay with healthy debate, because they are like, I have really close friends that are super active on Twitter, and they do their own stuff, which is wonderful, and very outspoken about supporting their work. But there are occasions where somebody will say something that I really don't agree with, and typically I bite my tongue, because I don't ever want to be coming across as like I'm actually actively hating you, especially if there's somebody that's a really great person, or they're just a person sharing their thoughts and they're not being a butthead. But yeah, it's always like, oh, like I know there's multiple times in the last week I've seen something, I can't remember anything, but I saw something, I was like, oh, I really don't like that. And I have to like scroll away, because I'm like, I'm not gonna go bother their day, because I know, like, again, like, there's a couple friends that, like, like you were joking about earlier, will, like, tease me. Like, they'll say something to just try to rile me up, because they know I love Supergirl, Nightcrawler, or whoever, or whatever, but, they don't actually care. They don't have any hard feelings. So I'm like, I'm not going to rile you up unless, like, we're already in a joking mood. But, like, if it's just out of the blue, by the way...
I won't even say by the way. Like if somebody says some base stuff, like I will literally just go to the source material, screenshot it, tag them, and just drop the image that proves them wrong, and I'll just let that sit.
I do know there was something recently where a couple times I've debated with people. I don't want to get too much into it here, because I want to make sure we wrap up well, but one thing that was debated was, is Supergirl stronger than Superman or not? And moreover than that, is it canon? That was the real debate. Has it actually been in the comics, on the page? Has it actually been canon? So I know people were saying certain things, and they were putting their evidence as well. And then I felt bad, because again, I get so competitive sometimes. I have to make sure to contain myself. But I was like, I don't know what to tell you, because, and then I would send my evidence. Like, I don't know what to tell you guys, but like, there's evidence. So, but I think in general, that debate, it is a debate, like, because there's evidence towards one way or the other, but it was really fun for me, because I was like, oh, we're doing evidence. Cool.
See, that's one reason why I've never done anything with like Marvel or DC. Like, I will not engage in like who's stronger content, because there's so many iterations of the characters, and you can just sit there for days just going through content, just trying to find that one piece, and then somebody comes out with something else from an obscure comic. You're just like, oh, I'm glad I just wasted 2 days of my life. So
right. No, and that's very smart. That's why I typically don't engage in it either, because you're right. Like, it becomes a whole thing there, especially, if it's comics or film and TV. Then you've got AUs, then you've got current canon, then you got retcon. You just can't win. It could go on forever. You just got to find what you like and what makes sense to you, and you as the fan go with it. Like that's kind of it most of the time, as long as it's not hurting anybody else. Go for it. Like, even if I hate it. But all that said, with the Marvel and DC talk, I was wondering, for you, what you've been like watching, or anything like that in terms of, American Marvel, DC, or just nerdy things in general, even if it's not superhero stuff.
So I like in the Discord we have shitty horror movie nights almost every week, and
Okay.
like we're looking for the bottom of the barrel scum that's good. So I've got one of the mods Czar in charge of that. So we have checked out like Bingo Hell. That was one of my picks. It was not that great, but Avalanche Sharks and I think it's like Snow Spiders. Oh, you want to talk about some low quality, like cringeworthy stuff? Oh, it's good. It's that fine dining type of garbage.
That's hilarious. I love that. That just sounds fun. Like, I think there needs to be more avenues out there for, people of whatever interest you are, but I'll just go with nerdy for the sake of this show. People with nerdy interests to just, have a place to just have fun, because we all have these formats like this show with, talking even in, right now, with this episode and things like that, but just to be able to like talk the shit, for lack of a better way of putting it, and just have fun and be silly. I think there needs to be more avenues, that people feel inclined to be a part of, and it can really instill that community value.
Oh, 100%. And we even find ways to like tie it into the what we're working on, because I have something called Diamond Tier. It's a subscription tier where you get to insert your own character into the lore. We make sure it's canon good, but you get to make your own impact inside the world. And after watching Avalanche Shark, which by the way is about a Native American ghost shark on a mountain. So one of the people was like, man, I love this idea so much. Like, I want to make a character about it. And so, of course, it's not a Native American shark, but it's like a Lovecraftian shark. And he's starting his own cult, and like he's riling other people. Like, he's got this whole spiel when somebody new joins a call. And it's beautiful. It's like watching a sermon go down. And then Chainsaw Man. That's what we've been watching as far as like anime. Oh.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about that, because as you said, we were talking about earlier and you mentioned that, and I was like, I think I've heard of that, but it's been so hectic this week I can't keep up with what anything is.
So Chainsaw Man is one of the few manga that I literally binged like 78 chapters in one day. Because it is such a diversion from what we're used to seeing from Shonen Jump, with like My Hero Academia's characters of, I want to do good for good's sake and the power of friendship. Like, that's not this character's goal. Like, his goal is like, he was super poor, living on the streets as a little demon dog, and he was like, man, I just want some toast and like jelly. Like, he just wanted a better life, and it's basically him getting better things in life as he hunts more devils, working with this organization, and not trying to ever backslide. Like, he's never had a girlfriend, he's never kissed a girl, he's never really touched a girl. And so like, one of the girls, like, in order to get her cat back, she's like, if you help me get my cat back from this demon, and it's a devil, like, I'll let you touch my boob. And he didn't even ask for it. And that's his goal. That is his goal. He risked his life to save this cat for this woman, just for that reason. And because it's like a really authentic version of like what a 16-year-old boy would be willing to do just for like these basic opportunities. And I really appreciate it because it's different, and it's unapologetically gory, and I love it. And it calls out problematic things in an interesting way. Like, have you ever read Seven Deadly Sins?
The manga?
Yeah, or seen the show?
I've seen parts of the show. My brothers used to watch it. One in particular really loved it, even though he knew there were some problematic things with it, and I was like, I can't watch it. I can't watch it based on the like one of the main premises of the entire show. I was like, I can't do it.
Yeah. So like, you know, the problematic thing that I'm talking about with Meliodas, like, and how everyone just kind of floats over it, and everyone just kind of pretends it doesn't exist. But in Chainsaw Man, they have this one female character who tries to do something like that with the main character, and like they actively like go through it in his head, like, should I be doing this? Is this illegal? Like, and I just really appreciated that, and it's just absolutely hilarious.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, when you gave the original premise of that, I was like, oh, so that does sound like an anime or manga. Straight up. Like, that's the complete premise of one.
Yeah, and basically, you know, you got your revenge and all this, and the whole cast is awesome, and it's definitely going to give you a character to hate. Like, oh, I can't go into it because of spoilers, but let me just tell you, there's this one person you would loathe. Like, did you ever watch Game of Thrones?
Oh, well, I watched like the first couple episodes, and then I quit on the episode where they killed the wolf. I was like, I'm done. I tried to make it through the incest and the cutting off heads and all these other things, and nope, you killed the wolf.
You didn't make it to Joffrey, did you?
I don't think so, no. I know he's terrible from everything I've seen, so I believe the people. I trust the people.
Like, she is a more cunning, more sinister version. It's like if Tywin and Joffrey were like merged. Like, that's how much hate you have for this person.
That's wild. Yeah, I'd be interested because off the top of my head, there's one character I've seen on TV that I hate more than anybody else currently. And it's Jenny from the L Word. And she was the protagonist, apparently, on that show. What? And I was like, I can't do this. Like, because she is the worst. I loathe her with every part of my being. Like, I really try not to hate on here, you know, especially. But, oh my God. If anybody wants to know why I hate Jenny from the L Word, let me know, and I'll give you a sermon. Because I had to stop the entire show because of one character. That is why. That show is a mess, but I like some like trashy shows sometimes. I stopped it even if I had some enjoyment because of her.
See, I love shows like that because, like, I study when I like watch these shows. Like, when I'm reading Chainsaw Man, watching Game of Thrones, like, I'm studying it so I can get those reactions. Like, if I can make somebody cry, then I've done much. Like, I've got a particular person in the server who likes this one character, and something's coming up in the Devil's Deal, and I'm waiting for that chapter to come out because I am ready for his reaction. I want to see it. I want to hear him cry.
I want to hear him cry. That's awful.
I guess that sounds so much worse than I mean it to be. Like, she's just a cinnamon roll, and what happens is just sad.
Yeah, that can be tough, but you gotta have fun with it either way. So whatever works for you there. Well, tell us where we can find you, Dark. Where can we find you on the interwebs? How can people get involved if they want to in your studio and the Discord and all that?
So you can find me, pretty much all my social medias are Dark Deku Lord, with the exception of TikTok. It's Darga, Darka. Yeah, that sounds about right. Dark Mangaka, because TikTok went on some stupid stuff and banned my initial account, so I had to rebuild it. Yeah, but if you look in any links in the bio, it'll take you to the site that you had up earlier, which will basically link you to the YouTube, all the other socials, the website where you can read the mangas and webcomics for free. And then you got the Discord, and then you got the Guild, which is basically where you can go to subscribe, and it helps basically support everything I do because I pay my artists fully out of pocket. And we're meeting goals every month, and I'm very transparent, so you can basically see our progress on the Discord. I think we're like up to $651 in subs. So
wow, that's amazing. Congrats.
Well, thank you. Like the last few months, like the server has kind of like exploded, and everyone's kind of got involved in the community. And
Mm-hmm.
this month is a big one. It's Save
Mm-hmm.
the Gobbo month, aka Save the Goblins,
Mm-hmm.
um, because apparently Gobbo waifus are a huge thing, and a lot of people want them. But just a quick snippet of what's going on with this event is in the lore, the elves and the orcs basically cast a genetic bomb across the goblins and turn them from a really sophisticated society down to what you would traditionally see in like Goblin Slayer and stuff like that. So now
Oh.
everyone's suffering. And basically, these people want to create canon characters to build an organization to help try to revert the goblins back to how they used to be to stop the goblin plague as we know it.
Wow, that's so specific. It's all goblins. People really must like goblins. I'm completely out of touch, apparently.
Don't go to Twitter and type in goblins. It will scar you.
I
So
will take your word as somebody who's has a manga studio. If you tell me that, I trust you.
I'm just trying to save people from the trauma. But yeah, so the special that's going on, if we can get 25 dedicated characters to the Goblin Restoration Association, then I'm
Mhm.
going to dedicate another 25 NPCs to it, because it
Okay.
will take a total of 100 characters to change the goblins that are going to affect not only that race but the entire world of the canon.
That's huge. Like, the way you're describing it is like, I don't know, it's giving me World of Warcraft vibes. And I know it's literally not that at all, but just like how big of a scale it is. Like, because
Oh
World of
yeah,
Warcraft is fucking huge.
like that is the goal, is to basically change how goblins affect every single touch point. So
Mm-hmm.
it should affect every single story that I write, like the Devil's Deal, Night of Slaughter, Deep Stalker Crow, and eventually the Eastern Frontier. Like if they can meet it, those changes will be affected and seen in those webcomics and manga.
Nice. That's so cool. Like, really high stakes. I like it.
Yeah, and it's without like trying to destroy the world. So I always try to make sure people are getting the best value for their money while being able to kind of like have their own stuff, impact
Mm-hmm.
the world in a memorable way.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. Well, thanks for sharing all that. Anything else we need to know about finding you or getting involved?
Um, Well, I guess the biggest thing would be just engage, like even just hitting the share button, tagging people, bringing more awareness to it helps. But if you come to the Discord, like we were talking about earlier, please do not be afraid to interact. Please feel free to tag me, jump in the VCs. It's a very non-judgmental community. Like I'm gonna be real with you. I'm gonna talk shit. There are a few people that I specifically talk targeted shit to. So have a good sense of humor, but everyone's welcome and just respectful, and it's a good time.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for sharing all that with us. And thank you so much for taking the time to come on here. All you awesome neighbors at home watching this later, be sure to check out all of Dark's links below. They'll be in the description. If I'm missing anything, let me know, or feel free to just reach out to Dark on Twitter. Again, that link will be there for sure. But other than that, thanks Dark again for joining us, and all you nerdy neighbors, be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that super important and super cheesy stuff that really helps us grow. And again, check out Dark's links, help them grow, and we'll see you next time in the